So because of that, GMC as of this year, I said, whether you start at ST1, whether you start at ST4, everybody gets a CCT. So everyone is on the same level. So I'm just saying this so that if you have experience, do not be afraid to go for either at ST3 or ST4, because you get the same thing as somebody who started at ST1.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you guys are simply amazing. And if you're a new subscriber, you're highly welcome. My name is Laju and this is another episode of Learn with Laju. And today's video is about how to get into the pediatric training in the UK. And once again, I have with me a special guest. But before I introduce her, please do the needful. You know what I'm talking about, right? Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share. So today I have with me here Dr. Tope Dosunmu. She's in her third year of pediatric training in the West Midland Deanery. Thank you, Tope, for coming here today.
Thank you, Laju, for having me.
All right. Yeah. Before we get into the video proper, I always like to ask people like why they chose a particular specialty. So I'll be asking you that question. Like today we're talking about how to get into the pediatric training, and I know you'll be helping us out with that. So why pediatrics?
For me, actually, well, for as far back as I can remember in like medical school, I've always enjoyed my pediatric postings. During house job, pediatrics was literally my best posting. So it just made sense to go into pediatrics.
Okay.
However, on the background of that, I totally love children. I love to work with children. I love them as a person. I love them as patients. And they're amazing. And they come across as, they're lovely patients. And in my little experience in pediatrics now, I've come to realize that pediatrics is truly a rewarding specialty. And for those who are thinking of coming into pediatrics, one thing that I must say is that pediatrics is definitely the most supported specialty, whether as a pediatric trainee or as someone else coming into just passing through pediatrics, maybe as a GP trainee or as an F1 or F2. Pediatrics is hands down the most supported specialty.
Yeah. All right, that's good to know. And like you said, pediatrics must be really like, it's a calling, because even being a mom and dealing with kids, it takes a lot. And then you are with dozens of children all day long. So yeah, that's you must be really passionate about it, really.
Yeah, I think it's one specialty where you definitely need to love to do it.
Yes.
Because it can be quite demanding. But at the same time, you thoroughly enjoy it. That's the way I see pediatrics.
Oh, good. So the first question I'll be asking, so how long is the pediatric training in the UK?
Pediatric training at the moment is currently 8 years. Okay. There are plans to make it 7 years from I think 2022, which might be something attractive for some people, because I know that a lot of people want to do pediatrics, but when they hear 8 years, they're like, oh my goodness, no way. It's a run-through training, and which means that for the entire 8 years, you do not need to reapply at any point. So when you get into ST1, you just progress according to your different levels till you finish.
Oh, okay.
It's, however, broken down into 3 levels. There's level 1, which is your ST1 to 3. There's level 2, which is ST4 to 5. And there's level 3, which is ST6 to 8. So basically, by the time you're ST7, 8, you've had 7 good years of training. So you're almost there, basically. It's called higher level training.
Oh, okay. That's pretty different, because other trainings, I think they do the core training, then the ST training.
Yes.
So from what you're saying, there's no break in between. You just go through.
There's no break unless you want to, take time out yourself, which you are sometimes these days you're allowed to take time out, but yeah.
All right. Thanks for that. So what should I be doing if I want to apply for pediatric training in the UK? What's the first thing to do to start?
So for example, if a person was looking to enter into pediatric training next year, what I think you should be doing right now is going to the RCPCH website and downloading what is called the person specification. The reason why I'm saying download this is because it sort of helps you to put yourself into perspective, because for pediatrics, you can apply from ST1, ST2, ST3, or ST4. So after going through the person specification, you kind of are able to analyze yourself. Where am I? Am I fit to enter from ST1? No, you're fit. Everyone is fit to enter as ST1. Am I fit to enter as ST2 or ST3 or ST4?
Okay.
So after you've gone through that, and then you've decided, okay, I think I want to go in at ST2 or 3, then you start gathering evidence for whatever level you want to apply at. Most people apply at ST1 anyways. So I think I would sort of give an overview about how to apply at ST1, knowing fully well that if you then want to progress, if you want to apply at a higher level, you just need to add more evidence. So I think I should just go through the basics, which is ST1. So after going through the person specification, the next thing you want to start doing is to start gathering evidence. So evidence in form of audits, teaching sessions, feedback from teaching sessions, certificate from attending conferences, things like that. And thirdly, there's a form called the CREST form, which is the Certificate of Readiness to Enter Specialty Training. You need to be getting that signed at this point if you're looking to enter next year. This is basically a form that certifies you ready to enter into specialty training and signs you off for what they call the foundation competencies, which is what UK medical graduates would have signed off after completing F1 and F2.
Okay. All right. But you, as a foreign trained, you haven't signed it, obviously.
Yes. As a foreign trained medical graduate who hasn't done the foundation program, you then need to get it signed off. You have to get it signed off by a consultant who you've worked with for at least 3 months. Okay. 3 months continuously. Yes, 3 months continuously.
Okay. Thank you for that. So the next question is, so what is the application process like? Can you highlight the steps that one needs to take?
So first of all, you need to be actively looking for the application. I would suggest that you register on the website called Oriel. When you've registered on the website called Oriel, they tend to send you notifications or emails when the adverts come out. Okay. As I said earlier, the adverts they run for about 3 weeks. The application opens and is open for about 3 weeks. And you have 3 weeks to complete your application and submit. Okay. Why I'm saying you need to be actively looking out for the application is because unlike other training programs, you have just 1 or 2 opportunities to apply because pediatrics starts just once a year, basically. Oh. Really? Yeah, either August or September. So if you're not looking out for the application, you might miss it. And the re-advert, there can be 2 application periods, but the re-advert is dependent on the spaces not being filled up in the first round. So if spaces get filled up in the first round, then there will be no other round, basically. Secondly, after you submitted the application, there's now the second stage, which is called the longlisting. So this is when the college themselves go through your application and then deem you fit to be longlisted for interview. So basically, the things for you to be longlisted for interview, you should have packaged your application in such a way that you have all the prerequisites, basically. So the prerequisites as a basic is 1, obviously you need to have your medical degree. You need to be GMC registered or applying to be GMC registered. Mm-hmm. And then you need to either have signed your CREST. You need to have signed your CREST form already because you would upload it with your application. That's the third thing. So that's the basic for somebody who wants to come in at ST1. If you're looking to come in at a higher level, say ST2 or 3, they would expect you to have more evidence, more things on your application. There's also a part of the application which is called the supporting information. I'm not sure if other specialties have this, but pediatrics has this on the application, and it's basically you trying to sell yourself. Mm-hmm. So they're going to give you the opportunity to write like 150 to 250 words based on your clinical experience, which is like your CV, prizes. Have you got any prizes? Have you had any publications? Have you done any research? So that's the part where you want to when I talked earlier about gathering evidence, this is where you want to put all of those evidence to show that, yes, this is what I've got. Also, so if you're looking at entering at a higher level, this is where you put all the evidence. And the best way to sort of gather this evidence is by having what we call a portfolio.
Okay.
This is probably something that I should have said earlier in the part where we talked about what should you be doing right now, especially what should you be doing right now. If you get the portfolio is what those who are in training use. So with this portfolio, if, for example, you're in a pediatric job, a non-training pediatric job, you can get things, you can do presentations and record it on there. You can get assessments done by consultants and put it on there. So the reason why I'm saying this is mainly for those who are looking to start at ST2 or 3, basically because at the time of your application, you need to note on the application that I want to be considered to start at ST2 or 3. Oh, okay. This is because it's the same application for ST1, 2, or 3, but on the application, you then put it there saying, I want to be considered for ST2 or 3. Mm-hmm. So it's basically what is on your portfolio that is going to help you to get to what they're going to assess you on in order for you to be deemed fit to start at ST2 or 3. And after the long listing, by the time you get long listed, the third stage is then the interview stage.
Okay. All right, just to take you back a bit. So from what you said now, there's obviously no exam involved in the application process.
No, there's no exam. There's no exam in that sense.
Okay.
But the interview process is like a mini OSCE exam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which we'll probably talk about.
Okay, all right. So let's go into, so after you've gotten shortlisted for the interview, after you've submitted your application, then you get shortlisted and then you get called for the interview. So yes. You can go on with that.
So the interview, if I remember my interview very well, there are 5 stations for the interview. It's like a mini OSCE, so you keep going from one spot to another. Yeah. The 5, I think it's standardized, and it's the same 5 stations that they keep using every year. So there's one, which is the clinical station. It's for 10 minutes, and you're given a clinical scenario, which you're allowed to read for about 2 minutes, and then you're asked to obviously give a management plan. How are you going to manage that patient? Secondly, there's a communication station as well. And this communication station is basically either a patient and their parent who are concerned about something, and you're there to sort of allay their fears or their concerns, basically. Thirdly, there's also the prescribing station. So this prescribing station is, you're given a drug chart. There's a sample of the drug chart on the RCPCH website as well. If you go through it, you see what pediatric charts are like, and they just give you a question in which you're supposed to prescribe something for a patient. On the 4th one, in my exam, what I had was a presentation station in which I was given a topic. It was like a case-based topic, and I was asked to make a PowerPoint presentation and then present it. Okay. And yeah, so you had, I think you had 30 minutes to make that presentation, and then you had 10 minutes to present it. And the last session is like the proper interview or portfolio station, which is where they would have asked you to come with a portfolio, a paper portfolio. They always say this portfolio must be 12 pages, not more than 12 pages. So no matter all the wonderful skills that you have to compress it into these 12 pages. 12 pages. Okay. Yeah. So these 12 pages, what I'll be doing is I'll be trying to match it with the person's specification to make sure that I put the things that are relevant into it. And then when you come with the portfolio, they take it from you and they go through it. They also would have had access to your supporting information from your application. So they are trying to marry the two together and ask you questions. This station is where they ask you the question you asked me earlier, where you said, why do I want to be a pediatrician? So I think that's a standard question they always ask everybody. Yeah. And another question I got in my interview was, what's the one thing that I'm proud of the most in my portfolio? So in these 12 pages, what are you?
Yeah, like what's your greatest accomplishment in this?
Exactly. So yeah, those are the 2 questions that I had. So that's essentially what the interview looks like. All
right, thank you for that. So I think this will be my final question, Tope, and it's are there any errors that you think you made or people often make that people should be aware of?
Yeah, so if I sort of reflect on my own application, first of all, I didn't have a portfolio. I wasn't keeping a portfolio. It didn't affect me in any way as to getting into ST1, which is fine. However, I did have a little bit of experience in pediatrics, which if I'd been keeping a portfolio, I may have been able to accelerate faster in my training.
Okay.
So that's one. Two is so in my when I applied, you couldn't apply in the first round if you were not a citizen. If you're on a visa, basically you had to apply in the second round. So now, as of now, all doctor professions are now on the shortage occupation list. So just go for it. Apply in the first round. You don't need to wait for the second round. Your best chance at getting in is the first round, so just go for it. The third thing is, so when I applied as well, you couldn't apply for ST1 if you had more than 18 months experience in pediatrics. Okay. However, I think from like last year or two, even if you've had 10 years experience in pediatrics, you can still apply for ST1 or ST2.
Okay, so you couldn't apply if you had less than 18 months?
No, if you had more than 18 months experience in pediatrics, you couldn't apply at ST1.
Oh, okay.
That was what it was previously. But as of now, no matter the experience you have in pediatrics, you can go for it at ST1.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the last thing, which will be useful for those who want to apply at higher level. So those who apply at ST1 and go prior to now, if you applied at ST1 and you went through the training till ST8, you got what they called CCT, which is the Certificate of Completion of Training. And those who started at ST4, they used to get something called CPCSR, which people thought was not equivalent to a CCT. They felt it was lesser than a CCT. So because of that, GMC as of this year, I said, whether you start at ST1, whether you start at ST4, everybody gets a CCT. So everyone is on the same level. So I'm just saying this so that if you have experience, do not be afraid to go for it at ST3 or ST4, because you get the same thing as somebody who started at ST1.
Oh, okay. All right. That does help. All right. So thank you very much. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and share, like this video, and till next time. Bye.